Peace. Welcome to Random Owl Vlog, and we're going to talk about a particular thing that is rather annoying to me. This is a thing that happens a lot within media. Like, it happens a lot in the right wing, and it also happens in the left wing. But we're going to talk about this particular case of Colin Kaepernick and him getting this deal with Nike or whatever. So there's a particular phenomenon that I call Whataboutisms. And it basically goes something like this, where somebody or some group brings awareness to a particular issue, topic, or person, right? Now, people on the opposing side will come up with a whataboutism. And it'll basically come in the form of, hey, you're bringing light to this issue, you're bringing light to this person, but what about this issue over here? And what about this issue over there, or this person over here? Okay? So it's like your issue or person you want to bring awareness to is not as important as these issues over here. Now, what's interesting is, most of the time, these people don't really even feel that passionate about the whataboutism or the other alternative issue. They are just annoyed that this particular issue was brought to light, so they have to find a way to deflect or downplay the particular issue they have in order to make themselves feel better, basically. One of the all-time classic whataboutisms, and it may be the number one whataboutism I've ever seen in the past couple of years, is, what about black on black crime? Okay, so just kind of fall in line with Colin Kaepernick. So Colin Kaepernick kneeling about police violence and young black youth being killed for non-capital punishment offenses, right? You're being executed. He's saying, hey, this is wrong. And this is an issue that actually happens, okay? Like, it happens. We have videotapes. We see a young black man being killed. So the rebuttal to this from the right wing is, well, wait a minute. Black people kill more blacks than police kill blacks. So what about that? You need to focus on that before focusing on this. So let me tell you what happens here. It's basically an attempt to deflect from a particular issue by trying to downplay it to the point to where, okay, before you go there, you need to fix this. And that's the whataboutism. It's a tactic of deflection, basically. Okay? But the thing about the whataboutism is they only come up with particular issues. So if you have a run for breast cancer, okay, nobody's going to go to a breast cancer run or a breast cancer event and be like, you guys are so concerned about breast cancer, but what about smokers and how the tobacco industry are literally killing people by this? Like, what about that? You guys are wasting too much time with this breast cancer thing. You need to focus on that. See, no. People they only do whataboutisms if they're annoyed something is brought into light. So because nobody's annoyed by the idea of people bringing awareness to breast cancer, it's not hit with a whataboutism. But when you talk about racial injustice, okay, there's a particular group of people in America that are not overtly racist, but they have racist tendencies. So it's just some people who are automatically triggered when there's any report about black people being oppressed. You know, I don't know if it's guilt. I don't know what that is. But as soon as they hear anything about a black person being oppressed, they get triggered with pull yourself up by the bootstraps syndrome. And they have to find a way to downplay the oppression and compare it with something else. And this is where you get the whataboutism. Now, this also happens on the left too. Okay. And I promise we're going to get to the Colin Kaepernick thing, because we're going to break down a video that this one guy, who's a classic whataboutism person, right? But we're going to break him down. But let me tell you how it happens on the left. Kylie Jenner. Okay. Now, first off, I am not a, Kim Kardashian fan. I'm not a fan of theirs. I'm not a hater of them. To me, they're just like, they're just people. I don't have an emotional attachment to them either way. But there was this article that came out that says she's the first or the youngest self-made billionaire. Okay. Now, there's a lot of people on the left that don't like the Kardashians because they feel like, they're actually on the left and right. And they just feel like, hey, she made a sex tape and got famous, and she really didn't work hard for what she get. I'm talking about Kim. And, Kylie Jenner, she's just a part of that whole family. So people don't like it. So when that article came out, the Young Turks, and I like the Young Turks for the most part. I'm a subscriber to their channel. I like Jink. It's no news outlet is perfect, and they've made plenty of mistakes, but I feel they're honest mistakes for the most part. But they actually did a whataboutism. Okay, so when Forbes came out with the Kylie Jenner thing, Anna Kasparian did a segment talking about some other self-made billionaire in some other part of the world. And she was basically like, hey, why are we bringing awareness to Kylie Jenner? What about this person over here that did this? And she did it without having a sister making a sex tape and all this stuff. And there we go with the whataboutism. So the whataboutism happens on the left too. But now we're going to talk about this particular video that annoyed me. Okay, so let's get into this.
So by now, most of you have heard that Nike has selected Colin Kaepernick as the face of the Just Do It 30th anniversary, stating that he represents the very fundamentals of paving the way of sacrifice forward for the future generations. I wonder if there was anybody else that actually exemplifies true sacrifice other than Colin Kaepernick.
Okay, so right here, he puts up a picture of Pat Tillman. And this is when the whataboutism is initiated. Okay? Now, was Pat Tillman brave? Okay, yeah, so going to war and putting your life at risk, yes, you're very brave. Well, you have the slogan, believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. Well, if you sacrifice your life, that's almost literally everything. Okay. Now, is losing your football career equal to losing your life? Absolutely not. But you have to look at this from the perspective of Nike. Okay? This picture of Pat Tillman, nobody knows this man, like, commercially. You could even make an argument that maybe Pat Tillman should have gotten more coverage. But it's not a commercialized name. Colin Kaepernick now is a commercialized name. He's a recognizable figure, As soon as you see this guy with the big afro, automatically people know exactly who that is. While this picture of this guy, Pat Tillman, they just put up, a lot of people will have to Google who exactly that is. People are not very familiar with that case, you know, and maybe that's a problem within itself, but it's also the reality. So when dealing with Nike, corporations like that are not immoral and they are not moral. They are amoral. Okay? We're in a capitalist society. Okay? Whatever face would bring more attention, that's the face they're going to use. It's not a slight on Pat Tillman. It's just that particular case is not marketable. It's just Colin Kaepernick is a more recognizable face than Pat Tillman. They didn't choose Colin Kaepernick because they feel his sacrifice was more than Pat Tillman. It's just better marketing.
First of all, let's go ahead and get this out of the way right now. When I say Colin Kaepernick knows absolutely nothing about what real sacrifice actually means. Talking about standing for something, even if it means sacrificing everything. What exactly have you sacrificed?
So let's stop right there. Now he's like, well, what have you sacrificed? Well, he sacrificed his NFL career. Now, this is the Whataboutism taking in full sway. So it's you either sacrifice your life in a war. If you haven't did that, then you really haven't sacrificed nothing at all. I mean, look, Colin Kaepernick, he made sacrifices doing this. If he would have stopped, he'd probably been on an NFL team right now. He probably would have. But you have coaches saying, hey, we don't want the distraction. There's literally coaches saying, we don't want the distraction. So he made a sacrifice. Was it as big as Pat Tillman's sacrifice? No, but it's still a sacrifice nonetheless.
Here's a pop quiz. How many consecutive games did Colin Kaepernick sit on the bench before all of a sudden he decided to be some kind of movement messiah that's speaking for the minority cultures of American society? Answer to the riddle, a lot of them. That's right. Colin Kaepernick was a bench-sitting quarterback whose career was in the tank, and he had to say, I wonder what I can do to get noticed. Oh, I'll kneel for the national anthem.
This guy is now going into understanding Colin Kaepernick's intent. So now he's a mind reader. And now he's just now getting this Nike contract. Like, when did this happen? This is like 3 years ago almost. So he said, okay, I'm going to kneel at the national anthem. Okay, I'm going to kneel at the national anthem because I'm aware 3 years later I'm going to get a deal for Nike. Like, this is insanity, man. But let's see what else he has to say.
For those of you saying, oh, Graham, he's lost his entire career and he's been prosecuted against and da-da-da-da-da. Shut up. Do you have any idea how much money Colin Kaepernick has made since he decided to kneel? What do you think? What, you think he just woke up yesterday and was like, oh my God, I'm the face of Nike's Just Do It movement? I had no idea. Well, this is such an honor and thank God I can finally feed myself and my family now. I didn't know what I was going to do. Hello, puppet. How are you today? This deal didn't just happen. No, his managers, his PR people, his everything have been working on this deal for months.
Now this is crazy right here. People like this guy, okay, said, hey, this is capitalism. You don't have a good product, Colin Kaepernick. You're not as good. You know, this guy just called him a bench warmer and all that kind of stuff. So you're not good enough to be in the league. It's not based off you kneeling. You're just not good enough to be in the league. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps and get some other work. So his managers or whatever, his people, okay, cool. Let's get this Nike thing. I need to find work. I need to feed my family. Okay, so now I'm going to get with Nike. Oh, now it's all a grand conspiracy. And actually, to be honest, if we're going to go with this angle, the people that made Colin Kaepernick popular is the right wing. If right-wing Republicans and hard right-wing people ignored him and just said, okay, he's protesting whatever, we wouldn't be getting no Nike ads. You know, there wouldn't be a national conversation. There wouldn't be this big deal if people just said, okay, he's protesting whatever. I don't like it, but who cares? No, but you go to Fox News, you go to Sean Hannity, you go to Tommy Lawrence, you go to all these people, including this guy over here. You guys have created the Colin Kaepernick phenomenon. Because when the right wing and these NFL owners or whatever are saying, hey, we're going to stand for the flag, this is disrespectful, you're just inviting left wingers to be like, oh, no, you're not going to do this to one of our boys. And we're going to stand with him. So now there's this battle. Like, if this thing happened and it faded into oblivion, and let's say he never got another NFL job, there wouldn't really be no story, because none of the hysteria would have came about. He could have even flew under the radar. It's like, they might have done an article, wow, Colin Kaepernick, this guy that was kneeling at football games like a couple of years ago, he's still out of the league. Where is he now? Like, it would have been stuff like that. But because the right wing can't help themselves and just wanted to come with that whataboutisms, they have inadvertently created a superstar named Colin Kaepernick.
That's right. This isn't about a movement. This isn't about mistreatment of minorities from the police. This is about money. Nike doesn't give a crap about you, about your protest, about what you claim that you're standing for. They care about, where's the dollar sign? Money. How can we get people to buy an excessive amount of Jordans? I know. Let's say that we support this movement of kneeling for the national anthem. Half of America is going to burn our shoes, but we're counting on the fact that you anthem kneeling supporters are going to quadruple down on buying Nike gear.
Now, that part he said was true. And I already said this. Yes, Nike, again, Nike is a major corporation. They're not moral or immoral. They're amoral, okay? And yes, as I said previously, it is more profitable for them to make Colin Kaepernick the face, because it's more, he's more recognizable than Pat Tillman. So yes, it makes money sense to make him the face. So that's true. But please do not conflate the intentions of Nike with the intentions of Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick, for whatever reason, kneeled, because I'm not going to be a mind reader either, but based off what he said, he kneeled because he felt an injustice of young black men being killed by police violence. This is what he verbalized and said this is the reason why he kneeled, okay? So I'm going to go by what he says. I'm not going to be a mind reader and say, yeah, he said that, but he really has this evil mastermind plan to be signed by Nike 3 years later after this. Like, that's just ridiculous.
Here's the thing, man. This isn't about Colin Kaepernick, even though I secretly just don't like the guy. This isn't about kneeling for the anthem.
Did this guy just say, I secretly really don't like the guy? Like, that's a secret?
Although I find it to be completely and totally a slap in the face to real American veterans that paid the ultimate sacrifice for you to slap them in the face.
Right. So it's just basically because Colin Kaepernick did not lose his life and these other veterans did lose their life. Therefore, he's made no sacrifices at all. Like, this is what it is. Like, and I've noticed when you deal with people who are extreme, they never have a gray area. It's just black and white. Somebody said Siths only deal in absolutes. I think that was Obi-Wan Kenobi. See, these guys are Siths, man. They only deal in absolutes. They have no gray area. So it's like you're either dying for something or you haven't sacrificed anything. Like, that's where they're at with it. And this is with the whataboutisms. So, no, I don't like Colin Kaepernick and what he's standing for, because this thing over here, I feel, should be the focus. Whataboutisms 101.
True sacrifice Nike looks a bit more like Pat Tillman, who actually gave up an NFL career to join the military and then died fighting for this country. What about J.J. Watt, who raised over $40-something million for hurricane victims? Oh, but he doesn't count.
Now see, he actually verbalized the what about. See, this is the classic whataboutism. Like, this guy's a classic whataboutist. That's what I'm calling. He's a whataboutist. Okay. Again, he's going to name various other people that probably did make sacrifices, and I would even say, yeah, they probably made bigger sacrifices than Colin Kaepernick. But just because they have made sacrifices, or have made even bigger sacrifices, doesn't mean Colin Kaepernick hasn't made any sacrifices. And if he's more marketable than these other people you have named, yes, Nike's going to pick him because it is a business. So he's kind of mixing truth with, with some whataboutism.
True sacrifice to you looks like Colin Kaepernick, who was a bench-riding quarterback whose career was in the tank, decided to kneel for the anthem to get attention, and since then his management, marketing team, publicists, lawyers, anything you can imagine have been working day and night to get him more money, of more contrast, of more TV appearances, more sponsorships, and everything else you can imagine to make him money.
Colin Kaepernick's career was not in the tank until he started kneeling. I mean, now I don't even know if this guy watches football, but anybody that remembers Colin Kaepernick's play, yes, I would say he was maybe mediocre, maybe a notch above mediocre, but nobody thought he was a scrub. He just wasn't a superstar quarterback like a Aaron Rodgers or whatever. So this notion that he was, a bench warming scrub, no, he was just like a mediocre, maybe slightly above mediocre quarterback.
Yes, money makes the world go around, and I'm not hating on the guy for making money. Bravo! Good for you, dude. I'm just saying, stop acting like Nike is woke and they just understand, and thank God for Nike, because now us anthem kneelers are being justified because such a big brand supports our movement.
Okay, this may be a bit of a straw man, because I don't see people praising Nike more than them just being happy for Kaepernick. Okay, we all know Nike is a corporation. I have not seen this thing where people are going around saying Nike is woke and Nike understands and I'm for Nike. I have not seen that rhetoric. The only people that I have seen make that rhetoric are right wingers saying left wingers are making that rhetoric. Like, I haven't seen that.
Nike doesn't support your movement. Nike cares about you opening your wallet and paying them money. You want to support anthem kneeling because you don't find it disrespectful? Fine. That's your right, and you can do that every single day, just like it's my right to claim that it's wrong, and I will never ever do it. But to believe for one minute second that big organizations like Nike actually give a crap about you, me, or anyone, that's just dumb, and it's time that you actually woke up.
He just goes on and says, hey, it's all about money, and it's all a conspiracy. He just did this not because of a movement, but he just wanted to make money. And Nike doesn't care about your movement. Okay, great. I agree, Nike doesn't care, but this is just the classic whataboutism. Okay. So Now, what he does is rather interesting. He takes it off Colin Kaepernick and try to say it's more about Nike, but it's still kind of about Colin Kaepernick. You know what I'm saying? Like, he interweaves the two. Like, he'll go from saying, hey, now you're making money with Nike, as opposed to when you're in the NFL, you were a bench warmer, which he really wasn't. And then he'll say Nike doesn't care about you, with the straw man that people are now like, hey, Nike is the greatest company ever because they did this. No. But that's Whataboutism 101. You know, this guy, Graham Allen, is a whataboutist. He's definitely a whataboutist, okay? Good night, folks.